Thank you, Joe. Over the next several years, several local nonprofits are in danger of losing their executive leaders, and that could cause some serious strain on them. And Matt Kouri is with us. He's the Executive Director of Greenlights for Nonprofit Success, and he's going to tell us how really, I mean, this is tough for these nonprofits when they go through this sort of transition. Matt, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
First, I want to talk about what Greenlights for Nonprofit Success is and how long it's been around.
Yeah, we're a nonprofit ourselves. We've been around for about 6 years, and we were formed by the community really to address the need of providing the nonprofit sector in Central Texas with needed resources. So we do training, workshops for nonprofit staff, nonprofit board members. We have a consulting practice that does management consulting for nonprofits at significantly reduced rates over what they'd be able to get in the for-profit sector.
I see.
We're a resource for the nonprofit community broadly here in town.
Okay, so primarily you do some consulting work, and that's really where we're getting into here. You said that several, well, maybe not several, but a couple of local nonprofits are going to see a major shift here in the next couple of years, right?
No question. Some big high-profile nonprofits certainly, but we just conducted a survey of the nonprofit sector in Central Texas and found that of the 5,000 or so nonprofits in Central Texas, 2/3, 67%, plan to lose their chief executive within the next 5 years. So,
is it amazing that they already know that?
It is, but it's largely based on demographics. So these organizations are largely run by executives who have been in the organization for a long time. This is the baby boomer demographic shift, baby boomer retirement hitting nonprofit. So this is a bit of a crisis in town.
Okay, well, let's talk about how it can affect the nonprofits, because when we were talking about this in our meeting yesterday, some people would say, well, you know, somebody's retiring, you hire somebody else. How much can it affect the business? But you say it can really have a big impact.
Yeah, if you think about the nonprofits that you and I know well, the ones in town, these are the organizations that provide critical services to our community. A lot of people think that government does that, but the nonprofits provide those services. They're the organizations that help people learn to read. They're the organizations that make sure that children don't go hungry. When those organizations go through an executive transition, the biggest risk is taking their eye off the ball and losing focus on providing those needed services in the community. Nonprofits, unfortunately, don't have the same access to resources that a lot of large government organizations or businesses would have during a transition period. They can't always hire an outside search firm to go find that key chief executive, and so they suffer from that risk.
In fact, you say, like for example, the Capital Area Food Bank, the woman who has the top job there, she gave her employers gave the organization a year's notice.
That's
which a lot of times you hear about the 2-week notice, but it's a year. Does it really take that long to find somebody?
It can, absolutely. For an organization that big, it often can take a long time to find the right person. They're doing a national search. They're doing it the right way. She announced her retirement a year in advance to give her board of directors time to do a search in a planful, thoughtful way. But a lot of nonprofits don't have that luxury. A lot of nonprofits find out 2 weeks or a month in advance when their CEO is leaving, and then they scramble to sort of stop the pain. Let's get somebody in here, stop the pain, and that's not always the right way to do it.
Well, is that where you step in? Your organization steps in to help?
That's where we can help. We're one of a number of resources that nonprofits can use. We're greenlights.org. We offer a service that allows nonprofits to bring in a third-party facilitator to walk them through the process of understanding where are we in our organizational history. Over 25% of the nonprofits in Central Texas are run by their founder right now. So there's some founder syndrome going on, and it's time for organizations to think through what do we really need in an executive, how do we go through a search, how do we keep our eye on the ball during this process, should we hire an interim to make sure that we do keep our eye on the ball, and Greenlights provides that as a service to the community.
We're seeing the baby boomer effect right now with people retiring. Matt, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Shedding some light on this topic. All right, still ahead, Dr. Greg Beely.